Hey,
Hey, there he is.
how are you, sir?
Nate, how are you?
I am
I
doing
got to get the sound
wonderful.
effect here. You look fantastic.
Well, thank you. Your remote crew did a really good job of setting up the studio for me and getting me all taken care of. I really appreciate it. They were firsthand. I mean, just wonderful people. I really appreciate you sending them out here.
Thank you. They're a good crew I have. They
Yeah.
don't get paid enough, that's for sure.
No, no, no.
So,
They don't get paid enough at all, no doubt.
no. Well, I just wanted to start off. It's great to see you. I get to see you face to face. I'm so honored that you wanted to come on the show. It's an early show, so
Right.
it's sort of a it's been an experiment a little bit for me. So you are by far a much more established fella on here. So it's just cool to have someone who's quite established the way you are to want to come on. I was just really touched and very grateful for that. So I wanted to thank you very
Oh
much.
yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I'm totally honored. I've never been on a show in my entire life. I don't really pay attention to numbers, who has how many followers or any of that stuff.
Sure.
I mean, you're the one running the show. You've got a show. You were kind enough to invite me, and I'm just thrilled to be here. I mean, I'm all dressed up for it. Let's do this.
Oh, you got it. So I think and generally I was going to say the only reason I pay attention to numbers is just because I know that I have to know I'm not talking to myself. That's the only reason I check because at least
Well,
there has to be someone in here, right? I just don't want to talk to myself for an hour, so I have
oh
to.
yeah,
So, but
yeah,
yes,
no.
great point. I mean, it doesn't really matter, and that's why folks that do come in the show, we just I like the fact that it's everybody, and and inviting whomever that night. It's a lot of fun to see people who are just regular folks, and you invite them, and their eyes light up, and they laugh, and they can't believe they're on a show, and we have the whole show going, so it's been nothing but a joy. So without
Awesome.
further ado, I actually got a lot of stuff to ask you. I always stop by your I guess we call it your channel or your TikTok, and so
Yeah.
you've been doing it. You've been doing wonderful stuff. So I wanted to kick off with a question though. I want to just, if you could, just go ahead and tell us what homesteading is. Like, what is it? What is a homesteader?
Well, that is an excellent question, and I'll tell you, it very infrequently involves suit jackets and ties. But
I can't
um,
imagine. No, I
yeah, so I usually describe it three ways. You've got farmers, you got hobby farmers, and homesteaders. Farmers do all this to make money, which is great. I don't knock them at all. It's just a different definition. They'll buy a lot of stuff and just increase the yield of their farm and produce a product and make money. Hobby farmers want to be farmers, but they're small scale and they work a regular job, and it requires them to essentially take money from their job and buy chicken feed and everything else. And somehow, they're just not selling a lot of eggs, and however it works out. And then you've got a homesteader, which is what I am attempting to be. And the idea is that you end up trying to produce everything you need yourself, and you don't buy a lot of stuff in order to make your animals produce. You make it happen off of the land. If you need something, you make it, you raise it. It's a goal. It takes a long time to actually achieve that, and you still have to do some money. You have to pay land
right.
taxes. There are things that you need, but I'm trying to knock that money thing down as hard as possible, because it gives me a lot, more time to enjoy life and put on suits and hang out with folks such as yourself.
Well, I can't. I've been giddy all day because because I was like, oh well, and right before the show, I was like, oh my god, there's tons to talk to him about because I mean, you have such a sort of a wealth of activities. I mean, you've got what I was noticing. I think well, that's tough. I can't really pick the days out, but you've gone everything from. I think I started on one of your posts about building shelves in the kitchen, and then I watched the coffee roasting process, and then I watched
Nice.
a couple. I'm no longer a beer drinker, but when I was, I noticed that you did the Guinness. I used to drink a lot of Guinness in my heyday, so I noticed you did the Guinness coffee, which I didn't even know they had a coffee flavored beer now. And so and then you pinned a couple of your early ones, which I think was great for me because I could catch up very quickly and prepare some stuff for you. So I guess looking at all of that, is there an activity that you particularly love doing when you're out there? I mean, is there one or like, oh, I can't, or not that you post about it, but there's one like I really love my coffee roasting. I love my, what aspects do you really enjoy, or the solar or whatever?
Yeah, yeah. As far as like recreational things, things I really enjoy, coffee was always a hobby of mine. Never intended to turn it into a little business, but that's just how my life goes. I do anything, it turns into a little business somehow. But I really enjoy roasting coffee. I enjoy playing online games at, my gaming computer that runs off solar and all that stuff.
Right.
I also enjoy like ATV rides out in the woods, hanging out at the creek, just getting away from everything I've built and looking at nothing is also good because sometimes the stuff I've built doesn't look just cozy, beautiful cottage in the middle of the woods, the whole fantasy you
Yeah.
get going in your mind. I'm not there yet. So sometimes I just got
Right.
to leave it all and go in the woods, hang out at the creek, that
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
So those are some things that I really, really enjoy.
Well, I tell you, because the one thing that's really cool to watch is that you do have a genuine, you are genuinely happy in terms of, the stuff that you're doing. And even when you're having a grumbling day where you're kind of annoyed at something, or even so, you can kind of tell, well, I can take it in stride and it's just part of the lifestyle out here, which is nice to watch. I think, and it translates to a lot of folks. I think it resonates with a lot of folks who just feel like, wow, I mean, this is a genuine guy. This could be someone I know in my family or a friend down the street. So, which brings me to the next question, which was, what did folks say who were not maybe in your extended family? What did they think about it when you'd made the? Because I know you just did this, what, 18 months ago? I mean, it wasn't that long ago, right? It was
Yeah,
March,
yeah.
a year and a half ago. What did
That's
they
right.
think? I mean,
Yep.
did they say, "Oh, Nate's lost his mind"?
Yeah, no, they thought I was doing like most people do. A lot of people go and buy land and they're like, hey, I'm going to homestead, going to live off the land, whatever they call it. Um, it takes them a while to, acquire the land. They acquire the land, then they develop a plan to move there. And, it realistically, it takes them 10 years to get there or longer. A lot of them never get there and resell it. It's actually how I
Wow.
acquired this land. The person that owned it before me had intentions, never did it, sold it. And when I started loading the moving van, they were like, "Wait, what? Like you're quitting your business? You have a successful contracting business. You're doing good, And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing good. That's why I'm buying a bunch of land and getting out of here, Like,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
they were
Exactly.
flabbergasted. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it.
I tell you, I very often I think all of us have sort of a little bit of fantasy of just kind of going off the grid like you've done, and so it's really cool that because I think me that was my first thinking like, what would my sister say or my mother or my father? I can imagine them being shocked, but and being from my wife's in West Virginia and my sons were born in West Virginia, and I was thinking even parts of West Virginia you wouldn't be able to get away with it. Parts where you are you can,
Yeah,
but
you're
West
right.
Virginia is kind of a very magical place. There are little hamlets and little places that you can sort of live near. Because I think one of my favorite. I have a bunch of favorite posts. I won't have enough time to talk about all of them. But the most recent one was the Walmart trip. I thought was hysterical, um,
Okay.
because I think you were very cool about it. I mean, it wasn't like you were. That's one aspect I like. You don't shun society, but I think
Right.
when you go there, you're kind of like you can look at, oh, there's positives and negatives here, and I have to get. You had guests obviously that came to visit. They wanted some pleasures of civilization. I imagine is that was
Right.
that the case
Right.
or
Definitely. Yeah.
the
No. Normally I have a good idea of how some posts, some TikTok videos are going to do. A lot of times they'll I just know they're going to do badly. I don't care. I love the video. I'm posting it. I mean, I'm sorry it came
yeah
across your
yeah
For You page, but there it is. I wanted to make it. I'm
right
sorry. This
yeah
Walmart one was one that I just like, this one's not going to do well, but I went to Walmart. I'll voice over it and I'll throw it out there. What
right
in the world it's doing blowing up into some big video? I am completely flabbergasted. I have no idea. Like everybody goes to Walmart. Why did me
yeah.
looking at Walmart? I have no idea. I completely blew my mind.
Yeah, but I think it's that I think that's what makes you also I think very relatable because folks like me who are living out here, I think look at you even more relatable, saying, "Oh, well, he goes, okay, that's not so foreign for me, that's not, and that's a good thing,
Right.
right?" I think ultimately we do want to encourage people to. I mean, I don't think it's your agenda, but I think maybe in a perfect world, it would be nice if people return to those basic some of the farming stuff and maybe be a little bit more, concerned about waste and all that kind of stuff. Because I think you're having that impact as well. And I think that's really huge. And so, well,
Yeah.
that's my own 2 cents. I'm not, I'm not one
Yeah.
of your
Yeah.
you know, you know,
Yeah, no,
you know, I'm
you're exactly right on that. I think it is something that it's not something that I think everybody should do necessarily, but I like to put it out there as like, here's what I'm doing, and homesteading, living off grid has all these negative connotations. It's like, oh, he hates people. Oh, he's running from the law. You got all this stuff going on. It's like, look, no, like I just love the woods. I love my freedom, but at the same
right.
time, I love my video games and I like friendly people. So let me go to Walmart. I
I know.
enjoyed Walmart. I talked to people all over the place. There were people super friendly. I didn't know where the chips were.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a Walmart looking for chips in a decade. Like, I don't know. Like, I hated Walmart when I lived on the grid, So, I'm there looking for stuff, and people are helping me and are talking to me, and I'm like, this is nice. I'm loving interacting with people, but I get to choose when I interact. When I come
Yeah.
back here, I don't have to interact unless I get on some talk
Right.
show, some world famous talk show like this, and here I am. I'm interacting
Yeah.
with a
Right.
variety of
Yeah.
folks.
That's right. Yep. I got right. World famous.
Yeah.
Maybe. I have-
Well,
Who knows, right? Yeah.
you
I just
remember me
it's
when
I
you're
think it blows.
famous. You
Oh, I don't
remember
think
me
that's
when you're
gonna
famous.
well, I don't think that's gonna happen, but thank you for being so kind and optimistic. Um and I noticed I'm a beard grower too. My wife would divorce me if I did it any longer, but and I know
Okay.
the beard is and I loved your whole beard and then the types of products for the beard. But I'm curious, what's the significance of doing the split? Is there a type of beard? I've never gone that long. I've only been about here, so is it just a style or what inspires you to shape the beard?
So it's actually kind of like just naturally does that. Usually
Oh, really?
not quite so extreme, but what happens is you got neck
Oh,
beard hair. Everybody cuts the neck
yeah.
beard hair, right? Because who
Yeah.
wants a neck beard? Well, when your beard gets this long, if you don't have that hair to back it up, it gets thin.
I
And
gotcha.
it's my style because I cut the neck beard hair early on, and now I'm letting it grow out. And in another 4 years, it'll probably fill in. But in the meantime, I could do something really, really cool. I was thinking about doing like the mustache wax and the whole beard for the show. Like it's a little extreme.
Oh, yeah,
Your
right.
makeup people behind the scenes here, they're just like, yeah, he's not going to go for that. He's going to be really upset. It's like, okay, I don't want to make him upset. Not the first time on the show.
Yeah.
He'll badmouth me every show
Well,
ever since. So
yeah, no, 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 not at all. They're very understanding. They'll travel anywhere for me. Good group there,
yeah,
and
they're
so
amazing. I mean, they're out here, and it's like I don't got no electric for you guys. I've got nothing. If you got to put on that makeup stuff with the candlelight, that's not my problem. Like
yeah.
whatever.
Well, that's. I'm glad you're being so hospitable to them. They're obviously those New York types. New York or L.A. types who expect
Yeah.
all the accoutrements,
Oh
and
yeah.
they like to be taken care of. So thank you for being so kind. So
Oh yeah.
as I said, Nate, I could talk for another like I'll keep going because it's a joy to talk to you. Um, the other thing I was interested because I've found that what I found very fascinating because I'm learning a little bit on TikTok as well, and it's always been traditionally a kids medium, and more I think adults are using it, and folks like you especially. It's I think you have a purpose. Um, do you ever think about the impact you're having on folks? Or do you stop and say, well, I mean, there's a famous Bob Dylan interview where, they said, well, Mr. Dylan, like you're having your music. Do you know how much your music has an impact on people? And he'd say like, no, I don't, I just write songs. I'm not, I don't really think that far. When you listen to the feedback, do you ever like internalize it and say, wow, I'm really having an impact on this person's life or that person's life, or you just kind of tune it out? I mean, what's your take on your audience?
Yeah, no, I try not to think about it too much because I'm like anybody else. It'll go to my head if I start thinking about, if I look at the
Yeah,
numbers too much or something, I
right.
just want to I just want to be Nate, but at the same breath, like I think about it enough because I don't want to glorify this life to the point where like everybody's like, oh, it's just like on TV, all you got to do is do this and that, and the money just flows in, and then it's like no, like I need to present a very realistic picture, if
Right.
possible, of how this is. So in that sense, it affects me. It's like it's very important to me. Like if I have a struggle, or a difficulty, I need to document it and maybe even exaggerate it. Not really exaggerate it, but just focus on it so that people for sure see the difficulty and are like, okay, I don't want nothing to do with that. And then you guys get to know before like you tried it and it turns out they made it look easier than it was.
Or you have these hordes of people showing up at your house all of a sudden, wanting to be like Nate.
Well, yeah, true, yeah.
Right? Right. Yeah, we
It's
don't want right exactly. So it's good we keep some tabs on folks. But as I heard one comment from someone called you the goat of homesteading, the goat referring to the greatest of all time. So I wanted you to know that. I read a comment. I think it was one of my posts, but I said I've got to tell him this. I don't know if you saw it too, but I just thought it was very clever. He says you've become the goat of homesteading. So I wanted you to know that. So you and
okay.
Tom
Well,
Brady, I guess.
you've helped me out tremendously with that because I've had people tell me I was the goat all this time, and I'm just thinking like, is it Billy Goat with this? Is it because I have goats? Is it just I kind of figured it's some kind of compliment. No idea what it meant. Apparently, it means greatest of all
Yeah.
time, and you have taught me this.
Well, there you go. I just immediately chuckled at that because in typical fashion, everybody has to rate everybody, right? Everybody's got to be the
Right.
best or the worst. I just thought that's probably not something you probably think about very often. I don't think you'd lose sleep on whether or not you were the goat tonight. But I
Yeah,
figured I'd say
yeah.
I'll tell him. Maybe he doesn't know. Is there anything? There's a couple of questions that I'm actually just gonna. I'll combine a few that you had because I did go through your comments and I wanted to at least prompt myself with some,
Awesome.
some stuff folks were asking, and one in particular that
Oh man, technical difficulties. I don't know if it's on my end or his end. Nervous and drinking, yeah. Oh, hey. Okay, we had a little bit of a glitch there. I missed your
oh
question.
oh I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it turned off. What's the biggest thing that Hang on 2 seconds. Sorry about that. My phone is a little funky, so I'm also trying to switch between Wi-Fi and data, and so I was having some
Okay.
problems. But
Yeah.
what
Well,
this particular
I appreciate you sending your best technical team here to deal with the stuff here. I'm sorry I took
yeah,
away
kind
from
of
them, but um, yeah,
right. Yeah, you've got most of them, and then yeah. Yeah, a
yeah.
couple of guys are asleep in the corner. I don't. They're interns. I don't pay them at all. My kids are asleep, so I don't make them do it. So I
Yeah,
don't think they
yeah.
would do it anyway. They think their dad's a kook. So, but I would. This person that asked, it was EBAUM your mom, EBOM your mom at EBOM your mom, and she said, or he said, what is the biggest thing you wish you knew before you started homesteading? Is there anything that most important thing like, oh, when I walked into this, I wish I knew this?
Yeah. I, 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 I get that question a fair amount. I'm kind of nervous because I'm on this big show and everything, so I'm trying to compile the answer as I ramble, like just completely meaninglessly to the entire
It
audience. Um,
it's you're doing absolutely fantastic.
no, I really think it has to do with vehicles. I really wish I knew how difficult it was going to be to maintain vehicles. Like I'm not a mechanic, I'm on a rapid pace to being one, just simply because it's either that or all my vehicles are going to be broke down. But I kind of wish I knew, that it was going to be more like that. Maybe I would have sold several of my vehicles and only kept one or bought one that would be really nice. But then, I kind of wish I knew more about what I should have done with vehicles. Should I have done something different or did I make a good choice? And I don't have the answer to it.
Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't. That's so funny you say that because I would have assumed like the transportation would have been such a big thing. But I guess when you're out there and you don't really need it to go back and forth, I guess as much. So I guess that would kind of make sense because you're like, well,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
do I do with these?
vehicles sitting. It's never good for vehicles to sit. This is West Virginia. It's quite humid.
Yeah.
That's just not a good thing. And I don't know which vehicles I should part with. And when I have a bunch that are prone to breaking down, if I can keep them all going when one goes down, like I got my work truck down right now, well, it's okay. I have another pickup truck. So
I see. Okay, because I saw you working on the truck. What was the one that you didn't need it repaired? Did you? What happened with the truck today,
oh
or it was
well.
a couple days ago?
Yeah, a couple days ago, I took the truck. It just needed inspected for the state to, say,
Oh,
hey, this
that's
is a
right,
safe
inspection. Yeah,
vehicle. I
right.
got it inspected. Went to Walmart. Came here. The rear brake locked up, was smoking. Now the entire wheel's seized up.
Oh,
I drove it like 40 feet. It dragged that whole wheel the whole way across the yard.
man.
But I got my
Well,
safety inspection. We're good. The vehicle's good. I just got it inspected by the licensed people and stuff. But I guess that wheel doesn't need to turn. I'm not entirely sure, but
well, yeah. Again, you're just it's on some things you kind of have to you have to keep up with stuff and maintenance, and you're going to encounter problems. But I was also interested in your family. Now, I your sister is down there, your wife is down there, and
yes,
how are y'all getting along down there? Were they all on the same page with you on doing all that? It looks like your sister was very gung ho. I know she's got an account. Other folks have said
yeah,
that she's on here. But
yeah, yeah.
and I try to keep my family off of this, so I didn't want to bring them up too much, but because this is our thing, we don't want to bring in people if we don't have to. But how are they all doing? You guys get along, and things are going well with the family?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, yeah. Homesteading, is a very stressful experience for everybody, and so we kind of bicker back and forth and fight and carry on like
Sure,
toddlers.
sure,
We usually don't do the hair pulling thing because that's just unsightly. But yeah, we do
right,
have disagreements. We do have issues, but we try to handle it like grown-ups, get together, resolve it. We all have our own lanes. Like when it comes to building stuff, I'm in charge of all of that. If something needs built,
gotcha,
I take input from people that want it built, but I build it. I choose the way it should be built based on materials. If animals need to be handled, my sister
right,
Diane, she's all about the animals. I give my input if she asks for it. Other than that, I stay out of her way. And my wife with the kitchen and the cooking, and just she
right,
just does a variety of things, and a lot of them aren't really glorious or glamorous. But she does have things that she does, and if she's like, "Hey Nate, washing dishes in these plastic buckets really sucks," other people have sinks. Why don't I
right,
have sinks? Okay, fine, I'll build you a sink. I mean, it seems like a reasonable request, and so I went ahead with it, and I made it
right,
happen. But
right.
yeah,
But
that's kind of how it goes.
well, it sounds like they're troopers. It sounds like they're good companions. Because
They
let me
are.
tell you,
They're
it,
tough. They're tough.
it'd be different in my household. Let me tell you, there'd be lots of at least with my sisters. I'm not so sure it'd go that smoothly. There'd be a lot more fighting, even when we're in our 30s and 40s. So it's. I'm glad you're doing it, not my family, because I think we'd have a we'd have a lot more going on that you probably want to put on tape or maybe not. So
Oh, well, good
um,
point.
did you have you seen? And now this is kind of now I was following the. I don't know if this is a sore subject, but I wanted to ask you, how's the house? How's the house coming along? I saw one of your posts where the eyes rolled a little bit. We were a little exasperated. Um, and I believe the phrase I heard you because we all check in here and there, and I go in and out. Sometimes I pop in your live or whatever, and I just caught it when someone was like, "I'd really like a house." So I was curious as to what's the status on the house. Are you positive about it? You losing steam, or how's it
Oh
going?
no, I'm very positive on the house. I've got just only a couple things in my way. I've got no money for the house, and I've got no start on the house in any way whatsoever. So it's literally just grass and dirt in the house area.
Oh, that's yes, I've seen that. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well,
But
the kitchen.
we live in a camper. The camper's cozy. It's nice. At least my wife and I live there. The outdoor kitchen is basically a bridge between like I'll just throw it up quick. It don't have to be pretty, and that way when I build my
Right,
house, I can take my time, make it beautiful, while we still have a functioning kitchen, while we still have a place to sleep, while we still have a storage building, while we still have power, while we still have running water, because power and running water off the grid is always a struggle.
yeah. Yeah, I imagine because I love I'm a painter by trade and I do I've done construction and floors and
Very nice.
so I've always been a tradesman, but I've been renovating my wife's house too, or our house rather. But I love your actually kitchen's gorgeous because it's a galley, and I look at the
Hmm.
potential and I'm like, my gosh, that's going to be gorgeous. Because I know you'll get it. You're that kind of guy. You're like, it's going to take time, but I mean, your attention to detail, I'm always impressed with. So you're not always. It doesn't seem like you're going to do it in 24 hours, but when you do it right. Which is that's I because I'm a home renovator and I'm in construction and the trades. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And so as another guy, another married guy, I can say, oh well, yes, I'll get to the kitchen eventually. So I always get a kick out of that when I see your kitchen. So that really
Yeah.
was fun to watch.
Yeah, no, that makes a
So
ton of sense. Yep. I'm
yeah,
basically making this kitchen, it's I'm almost building it renovation ready. I've got it pretty rough for a lot of it. Most of the cabinets I built in the other half are going to actually have doors and face frames. It's all going to be built out of pallet wood after I do like the main house. Right now they'll just be shelves. These will always be shelves because I covered the outside all with slab wood
yeah,
completely.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, you got a good handle on it, I would say.
Oh yeah, well, I today I like repurposing wood. So I take a lot of
Nice.
like if I do some renovations around the house, I just repurpose the old stuff. I built my wife a strawberry, we call it like a strawberry trough, so she can grow strawberries this summer. So that was my good deed for the day. So, but
Ah,
I saw when
yes.
you repurpose, the whole repurposing. I could just watch your show for hours just repurposing. I just think that's like so cool. So I could like watch that all day long. So so yeah, and I also wanted to give you, or kind of give you a broader question. This is kind of like a sociological question. I don't mean to be too heady here, but what are your thoughts like on the larger picture here? Like you do have a hybrid sort of model, right? I mean, you do have some technology. You are using solar, which is fantastic.
Yep.
So how do you see? And again, this is sort of like a conversation, maybe for maybe one on one with somebody. But um, what are your thoughts about like where are we headed? Do you think that as a society, do you think this hybrid model is going to help push more people into the sort of agrarian, or not even agrarian, really, right? It's just more of a, I wouldn't say holistic or more of a simplistic lifestyle. I mean, I guess what I'm saying in the long and short of it, can you be simplistic with technology? I think you're pulling it off, but I wanted to get your 2 cents on it.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great question. And I definitely think my generation. I'm actually an older millennial, and what I'm doing is something that's with my generation that you know my generation is somewhat eco-friendly to an extent. We love the outdoors. At least the older millennials love the outdoors because they grew up riding their bikes with kids and getting knee scrapes and all that stuff. But once they hit their teens, video games came out, Game Boys were out, all that stuff. So we developed a love for technology as well. And I think basically what I'm doing is showcasing a similar way of how a lot of millennials are actually going to retire. Most of them will do it later than me. Mid 30s is not when most people retire from the working world. But
Right.
yeah, I do think it's sustainable. I think a lot of people are very interested in doing it. I don't think they're going to do it quite to the extreme that I will. They'll spend a little more money, wait a little later in life, have to build less stuff out of pallets and random tree bark. But
Right.
beyond that, yeah, I do think it's something that actually will get more popular over time.
And I think not like I'm a cryptocurrency gambler, but let me tell you, I think if there's anybody's going to start it, it's going to be you because let me tell you, you are turning it into an art form. I think you are well ahead of the curve, but I think you're just being you. But I think you are sort of an, I don't want to say an every person's person, every man's or every woman's or every human's human. But I think what you're kind of captured is this notion of what we're all. I think a lot of people are eager to do, and I think that that's really cool. And so I think that's a testament to who you are as a person, and I think you draw a lot of people naturally to you because of that. Either that, in addition, I think a lot of people are just kind of feeling like they've got all these plates in the air, and or they're trying to balance all these plates in the air, and everybody's in the rat race. And I think a lot of people are kind of confused and kind of fed up, and I don't blame people. And so to see someone like you is really inspirational, I guess. So I'm not trying to blow your head up and make you a big ego, but
Yeah, I mean, my
I think.
my my hat's really not fitting anymore. I'm gonna have to set that off to the side.
Oh no, it's okay.
It doesn't fit anymore.
That's all right. We're coming up. We're coming up. I don't know how you're doing. We're coming up at about 10 o'clock. I don't know if you got something to do, but I could talk to you all night, but I
Yeah,
wanted to keep asking you a couple more questions. I think maybe we'll go to about 10:15. Does that work for you? That's about,
that
we can go the full
that
hour if you
works.
want. It depends. It's up to you.
Well, that's
I'm good to go. I can chat with you. I can
that's
chat with you all
completely
night, but
up to you. I've got no plans.
oh
It's
well.
kind of raining and stuff, but it's totally up to you. It's your show. I know what your
Oh,
staff
you're
said back here. Like he's going to be very polite about when it's time to go, but you may want to take cues that he's done. Because
no,
he'll go
no,
on
not
for
at
30,
all.
40 minutes on you. Off the camera.
No, I'm actually the exact opposite. People actually have to stop me. So I'm more concerned about you telling me like you're sick of things. So by all
Well,
means,
I mean,
I can just keep
I
going.
already told all of society to get lost. I don't want to work for you, so I'm pretty sure I can tell you when I'm done with you to go. So
Yeah,
we'll be able to take
I'm
care
not
of
very
that.
easily. Yeah, you're not going to really offend me. So by all means, feel free to just continue being yourself. So what? And I just got to ask. This is the one question they always ask the White House about aliens. I've got to ask. It has to be asked. You live in the woods. Have you seen Sasquatch? Or
No,
as they have the Ohio Grassman, which is next door, and Bigfoot. So no Bigfoot sightings.
and I've heard Mothman, and I've heard there's something else that's in West Virginia too. It's supposed to be a thing. I don't know if it's caterpillar toddler or something like I don't even know. But no, I've not seen anything weird like that at all. I did see a tree stump that looked like an alien. Freaked me out. Um, Turns out it was a tree stump, and I really didn't need to be scared. So it worked
You
out.
know, if we don't ask those questions, if I don't ask, I'm not doing my job. We've got to ask
Yeah,
that. At least you got to go on record, right? You got to go on record and be like, so I'm glad we got that out of the way. Um,
yeah, for
I noticed
sure.
the elaborate solar. I mean, the kind of the solar like sort of the panels you put up are pretty large. So I mean, you did. So how many kilowatt per hour are you getting out of it? Like, are you able to like heat? Are you what kind of return are you getting on the electricity yet, or are you still kind of trying to figure that out?
Yeah, no. I mean, obviously, it depends on the sunshine. But at peak performance, my panels do bring in about what they're rated at, which is 250 watts each. I have 15 of them hooked up, so you can do the math on that. I'm going to make three of them. I have three more on the array. The array is 18 total, but three of them are
Yeah.
dedicated directly to a heating element for my water heater.
Oh,
But
good.
I want to be able to switch back and forth on a cloudy day when I need every watt that's coming in. I want to switch my water heater ones over to the batteries. You only need so many hot showers per day, right? So I don't need hot water every day. I don't need, all that.
Well, yeah.
So I'll be able to switch
Right.
back and forth. And I purchased 10 more panels. I get them all used. They're very reasonable. Panels are the cheapest part of the system. And so I'm just doing it in excess. Um, Batteries ideally are what you spend your money on to get more storage of the power, which is
Right.
how I'm running lights and stuff.
Right.
But ideally, you have more batteries. Batteries are the most expensive part. They wear out eventually. Panels, while they decrease in efficiency, you can get 40 years out of them. People don't believe it, but there's actually documented information where they lose about 50% efficiency. But there's some. I believe they're running like 36, 37 years up in New Hampshire on a. It might just be I forget how many watts it is. It's a very low wattage panel, but it's the oldest one known in existence. It's been documented in an off-grid New Hampshire home. It's really, really awesome, and it's a
Wow.
predictable degradation of the panels, and they don't necessarily just go bad. Batteries go bad.
Yeah, I imagine. I was because I always curious about that. But it sounds like your infrastructure is really up and running, and you've got pretty good output, and it's a pretty sort of cohesive sort of system. It's not you're not really having a whole lot of kinks in it. Well, maybe you are. I mean, but it seems like
Yeah,
you're running pretty seamlessly. I mean, that's
yeah.
impressive. There's a lot to be said for that.
The solar is doing extremely well. I have had zero hiccups of it, at all. Installing it was a pain. Learning how to build it was a pain. All that stuff was difficult. But Usually, when I hear a generator, it's over the hills and it kind of echoes, and I sort of hear it, and I know that the grid has lost power again for like the second time this month, and that means the folks, my neighbors, are running the generator. My on-grid neighbors are running the generator. That's how I know that my neighborhood's out of power. I rarely run the
Oh,
generator. I burned 15 gallons of gas last winter, which is when the days were shortest. It was very very awesome not to have to use much fuel at all.
wow. I mean, because I think that was my biggest. I'm a big proponent of solar, and I just have, I could talk to you. I don't want to bore everybody, but my buddy works in solar, and I'm always interested in things like kilowatt per hour and how much you're getting back. What are you getting back from the grid? You know, what are you getting back from the electric company? Or you're not really on the electric
Yeah,
grid,
they're,
but
the,
you know,
the the
I'm
electric
always
company
interested in it.
wanted 20 grand for the install. I think it's higher to 30 grand for the install to get the line out here. And I said, you know what? I can build the solar power for a third of that, so forget it.
Yeah, you and I could talk politics all day long too. I always keep my show so non-religious and non-political. So, but I'm sure we could talk for hours on that one too. Um,
I'm sure.
so I got two. You're coming up to your last two, and then you're off the hot seat. Last two
Okay.
questions. Well, actually, one
Okay.
more question, and then I want you to talk a little bit about your October 24th event that's coming up because I think you want an opportunity to promo that. I imagine so.
Sure.
Um,
Sure. Yeah.
so so two things, I guess. I guess there are two. It's a two-part question, so it'll be bad and good. Do you have any regrets? And what is your favorite part of homesteading? So those two, you can either do the good and the bad, but I really want to hear your absolute favorite thing to do, and I want to hear where you're like, man, I regret like this one thing, like I regret not being closer to a Dairy Queen or something, or something like that. Just you know, like I could really use a
Yeah.
flurry or a blizzard, whatever they call those.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
So you take
No.
your time.
Yep. No, I would say my absolute favorite thing to do is I take every Saturday off, every Saturday, starting Friday night. So I'm off right now, not thinking about working, not doing nothing. And my favorite thing to do is to just relax the whole day here, whether I'm sitting in the hot tub, running the four wheeler around the property, or just going out some back roads. Just remembering to take time to just take it easy, not have to, because it's easy to get yourself stuck in a grind here, just as it is, if you live on the grid in town, like, look, the sink's leaking, I mean, I have a sink now, my sink can leak. Like, it's a very real thing that could happen to me. And that
Right,
happens to you guys on the grid all the time.
right,
But
yep.
yeah, and as far as my biggest regret, it's kind of hard. The thing that comes to mind is basically I don't have a well on the property. I really can't get a well on the property. Um, the particular ridge line I bought, none of the neighbors here have wells. They actually
Hmm.
haul water in from the local town and fill cisterns. Um, I'm actually two of them now are starting to collect rainwater based off of just seeing
Okay,
what I've got. They're like, hey, you don't have to drive to town all the time for water. I'm like, no, it rains. I just put it in a tank and then I use it. So they're
right.
starting on rainwater collection. But it's sort of a regret, but it's not because the property is so perfect, other than the fact that I don't have a well. So I do struggle, handling water and finding a way to handle rainwater and make it stable and usable without buying things to keep it that way. Um,
Okay,
so it's kind of a regret. I do have other regrets, bigger regrets. I don't know what they are. It's
sure.
only been a year and a half. 5 years in,
Right.
something I did here is going to completely and utterly fail and collapse, and that will be my biggest regret. It hasn't happened yet, so I don't know which one of my systems or what it is that has failed or will fail.
I think you're going to be fine. I wouldn't worry in 5 years. I got good feelings. I think you're going to be just fine. Are you under the Marcellus Shale? Are you in Marcellus Shale region? Are you in that? Are
Yeah,
you in the pocket, the natural gas pocket? Do you have any of that going on down there?
there is
Or
natural
no?
gas here. There isn't a lot of it. There's not a lot of active anything happening with natural gas. It used to be really big here. What it
Right.
is that made it fall off, I don't really know. Maybe they found better natural gas somewhere else. Um, Hard to
Yeah, I was
say.
just when I lived in West Virginia, that's all we had were trucks. It's pretty much anytime I went to work, we'd have nothing but the pipe, the drillers were there, and the pipe was going down everywhere. So, I just
Right.
was curious if there was any action on your end. Another political conversation we can have later. And then, okay,
Yeah.
so the last thing tonight is I'd like you to go ahead, promo what you got going on October 24th, and use this as an opportunity to plug it because it sounds a lot of fun. I wish it could make it up to West Virginia.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, I'm trying to remember even the name of the place. I think it's called Charles Fork Lake. But basically, I'm doing a meet and greet. I'm not gonna do the suit and tie thing for the meet and greet. I refuse. I absolutely refuse. Again, it was your staff that was like, look, you're going on a show. Suit and tie is mandatory. I'm like, okay, fine, fine. I'll do it for a show, but yeah.
That's great.
No, I'm going to do a meet and greet. I'm
Good
going to
crewing.
meet folks. I'm going to bring, I did a meet and greet back in June. My account wasn't nearly the size it is now. But I'm going to bring some cool off-grid things. I'm going to raffle them off. Whoever
Oh,
travels,
cool.
whoever travels the furthest to the meet and greet gets the first pick of the prize because they paid more in fuel than anybody else. It's basically going to be at a lake. There's going to be a pavilion in case it rains. It's just going to be super casual, not charging anybody anything. And I want to keep it that way. There's a lot of people that charge for meet and greets on here. I can't stand that
Yeah,
idea at all whatsoever.
sure.
But the last time somebody traveled like 7 or 8 hours from Delaware, I was blown away that somebody drove that far. It was super cool. But that's
Wow.
it. No money to be made. Just have a good time, hang out with some folks. Ask me some questions that maybe I don't answer on camera when I'm all intimidated by the suit and tie
Sure. Of
stuff.
course. Of course. Of
Things
course.
like
Of course.
that.
Yeah. Well, that's absolutely awesome. As I said, I would be there in a heartbeat. I'd be the one guy with the suit. I'd probably be wearing maybe shorts, but you'd see I could take my two boys up and my wife. We have to head back to West Virginia at some point, so we'll have to
Okay.
drive through there and say hi if you're around. So, um,
Yeah,
but Nate, this has been an absolute pleasure,
it
and
has.
you are such a great guy, and it's been wonderful meeting you. I'm going to let you go after about 45 minutes in the hot seat. So you've been absolutely awesome, man. And I'm glad that you and I, who are two different people in different ends of the world, can connect on here. And hopefully, a lot of people got to learn a lot about you, and then learn what a sort of like rinky-dink amateur operation I got going over here. But I
Oh
could
no,
send
no,
staff
this
down
is
to you, so that
yeah.
was good.
Yeah, no, I
That was
really
good.
appreciated the staff for sure. Definitely before you let me go,
Sure.
yeah, they were great. They were great. Yeah, but before you let me go, I totally want you to yeah, promo your show. Tell folks what you're about. Because you've been interviewing me this whole time, which is cool. But anybody that happens to be here that wants to know more about your show, I would love for you
Oh,
to let them know what it's all about, and maybe give this gentleman a follow here, and explain your name
oh,
too.
thank
It's
you.
super cool.
Uh, Thank you, Nate. I didn't know I'd have this opportunity. Now I'm on the spot. Um,
Yeah.
Pretty much my name is blah 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 arg. I did that on purpose. It's not that I'm trying to keep my anonymity because I'm running from the law or anything. But the point of why I want to do this, and that's why it's so great that I got hooked up with you because I like to kind of capture a little bit what the attitude that you have, I think, which is kind of who you are. But I wanted to sort of connect with people and this idea of celebrity and who's important. Well, we're all kind of important, and I'm a very big fan of building community, and I think it's just cool to interview regular folks, and it's a chance for people to sort of get face to face, even though it's not face to face, but it's better than like an algorithm. At least
Yeah.
it's like, oh wow, and it's fun, and to have the ability, like, if I, not that it would ever happen, but if I was to become some giant talk show, but
Well,
the
just
idea of
wait.
like having somebody, yeah, having somebody like request, somebody say hi, and like you matter, and then watching their eyes light up. Let me tell you, I mean, I've done a lot of things in my life, but that's been the most enjoyable part of this is to see people like, and
Yeah.
even seeing you just hanging out with a guy like you. We're just having fun, but but to see other people who are like, someone wants to actually talk to me, and I said, yeah, And I think that's the joy I get from it, and that's what it's about. So my name is kind of because my wife and my wife knows I talk to. My wife's a West Virginian, and I'm a Yankee, so you can imagine my wife kind of tired of my blah 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 blah. So it works out well because who I am is not really important. But yes, please come to my show each week. Those of you who are out there, it's a once a week show for now. I'd love to do it more often, but demand is really what dictates. But 9:30 on my channel every night, every Friday night. And I basically just, we start off with a kind of a fun, I do like a little monologue or I interact with people that are in the room. And then I basically randomly go and I press an invite to whomever. If they answer, great. And then we have their interview by me. And so it's fun. And I have my wonderful assistant. Those of you I'd like to shout out to Writer in Ohio. She's one of my wonderful people that I work with here from afar. Never met, but she deserves a big thumbs up. She does a great moderation, and you know we work together a little bit, which is great. And so I'm just real proud of it, and I'm proud. And you've made me feel very proud. I've felt really good about myself, and because it's hard to really feel good about yourself when you do this sometimes because you feel like you're not doing it for anybody. And so I'm just honored, and I'm so honored and pleased that you came on, and I'm very grateful for that. So that's my spiel.
That's awesome. So, yeah, no, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this because you're just out there trying to reach out to people who are nobody and just like, hey, you're just like you said, you want them to light up and be excited and all that stuff. And I'm just thinking, well, you know what? I mean, I want to hang out with this guy. Maybe we'll get him a couple more folks over there. And yeah, just
I appreciate
other people's days. Man, I want to brighten your day too. I mean, that's
that's very sweet of you. Thank you. And I tell you, it's been great. You're like you're not that you're you're now the bar to be measured against, but let me tell you, I mean, we've had folks that a gentleman was running a cash app for families, so he was saving money for people that lost their homes. We've had tarot card readers. We've had painters. I mean, and it just meet a new person. A couple of folks who are running their own travel agency. I mean, you just meet fascinating people, and you just get to meet new people. I'm sure on your meet and greet, you're gonna meet a whole host of different people, which is cool. So, but thanks for the plug. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. I appreciate that.
Definitely.
That Nate.
Definitely.
So, Nate, I'm sure we'll do this again. I hope you're a wonderful guy, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful you're doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Yep. No, I appreciate all the kind words, and yeah, I think this was a hit. We'll definitely do this again. Your makeup crew and technical crew, they don't have to travel out every time, but I really appreciate you sending out the full crew this time. I just want to keep plugging that. But yeah, this was fantastic.
I got to do it for my wife. WVU or Marshall?
I have absolutely no idea. I'm so not into sports. I know I look like a sportscaster with really frizzy beard hair, but I haven't formed an opinion on that yet. I don't have a TV.
Oh no, my wife went to Marshall, so it's always a joke in West Virginia. We always have to say that. She always goes, "I'm Marshall, not WVU, Marshall." So I had to do it for my wife. So, but anyway, thank you so much, and have a great weekend. And we'll just stay in touch. And I'll just see how you're doing. As always, I'll come by. I'll come by the homestead, and I'll be keeping tabs on you, coming up with more and more questions.
That sounds good. Great.
All right, you're gonna get the applause on your way out. Ready? I hope it doesn't. Right. Someone sounded. Oh no, I think my sound effects are gone. Let's see if I still have it. Some guy said it sounds like an ice machine, but I don't know. Thank you very much, Nate. Have a great weekend. Thank you for being on here. You're a great guy. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.